Hey y'all, good evening. Happy Thursday. It's Dr. Natalie Nicole, and I wanted to discuss something this evening before settling down. Today I posted a flyer I saw because I'm following all of the candidates, and it said volunteers needed. Okay, so I shared that flyer and I put absolutely not, especially when that person is under investigation, right? Of course, in my opinion, this person should already just go ahead and have several seats. But it's just like a child. The more you tell them and encourage them not to do something, they're going to do it anyways most times. And so this is what we have going on with most of the mayoral candidates who are new to the scene. Instead of, partaking in self-awareness, they're choosing to go ahead and run anyways. And again, I've shared in our candid conversation my heart towards that. In this economy that we have, to solicit donations and money from people who may not necessarily have it to give or shouldn't be giving it, it's not leadership, in my opinion. It's very self-centered and just very selfish. So let's move on. Let me move on from that point. So I shared this video, and of course, there is someone on my page with emotional diarrhea, and they just spew, comments about anything that they feel they don't agree with, and why they're on the page in the first place, why they're visiting my page, and why they're reading posts if they're so disgusting and the content is so disgusting and they feel that this person is being blamed. I have no idea. I wouldn't spend my time this way. Not at all. I'm not following people that I don't like. I'm not following people that I feel that their content is disgusting. And I definitely have the emotional intelligence to see things that I may not agree with and keep scrolling. So moving on. So today, on top of that, I watched a video where an educated African-American woman, beautiful lady, licensed therapist with a PhD behind her name, attempted to cast herself as the victim. Okay. And as expected, a few uninformed, uneducated commenters followed her lead, speaking without doing a single ounce of research or understanding the facts, right? And I've thought I've made this clear, but I'm going to make it clear again. My perspective does not come from hearsay. I'm not the gossip type. My picture and my name are on everything mostly that I have been sharing commentary-wise because I meant what I said and I can stand by what I said. And if I owe someone an apology or if I need to fix what I have said, I don't have a problem doing that. Yet my perspective comes from training, experience, and first-hand knowledge. I saw the receipts. I saw the text messages. I saw the memo with her letterhead, her credentials, her memo about her therapy. I saw it. There's also facts all over circulating social media where this young man is in fact back in jail for assault and drug use. And he's on her page and they're hugged up. And I'm assuming because that's her partner. So we're not making things up here. And I'm just going to share, as a veteran trained at Fort Sam Houston, as a 68 X-ray, which is a mental health specialist, I worked in behavioral medicine for number of years. I completed my residency in a state hospital. I've completed mental status exams. I've worked with patients, experienced the different spectrums of bipolar and psychosis and trauma-related disorders. I've seen what vulnerability looks like, what impairment looks like, and what responsibility looks like. So when I say what happened here is unethical, I mean every sense of the word. Clinical, legal, and moral. It is unethical what she did. Okay? Period. And you can be loud and wrong. You can be ignorant and wrong. You can be uneducated and wrong. But it's not going to change the fact that in the field of behavioral medicine, there's no way in this scenario that this young lady will ever be seen as the victim. Okay? Now, in her video, she addressed, where African American women attack each other, and she's not surprised, and this is typical, and this what happens, and things of that nature. That's not insight. That is deflection. What she's calling attack is accountability. What she's calling tearing down one another is truth telling. And what she's calling women attacking women is really her refusal to answer legitimate questions about her serious misconduct. She brought to the forefront. She posted on her social media page. She put the screenshot of the information of what she did, and it was being shared by someone else. She brought that information to the forefront. And as a candidate, of course, I ask her questions. I listened to her video. I asked her questions. This is before I even had the receipts. She refused to answer those questions, and she removed the video. So, unfortunately, that's not how this works. When you run for office, if you're talking about transparency and helping out the community and making things better, well, transparency starts with you. Okay? So clearly you crossed boundaries, you violated boundaries. You began an intimate relationship with the client. You moved him in your home within weeks. You married that same vulnerable client. And now that client is back in jail with new charges. Served the 13 years that he was supposed to serve. He was initially given 25 years. And this is a young man. So at 17, he was charged for assault, armed robbery, and assault. And given 25 years, he only had to serve 13 years. So he spent most of his young adult life in jail. Cure Violence did the work to get him out, to move him forward, and she put him back in jail. I won't say literally, because we all make our own choices and decisions. However, him being a part of the vulnerable community and having mental health challenges, she is responsible for him being back in jail. Because instead of her providing the therapy that he needed, she went a different route. So you don't get to play victim. Okay? You didn't want to answer the questions. You're walking around here like this man is not back in jail because of you and because you contributed to it. He should have had another therapist or somebody that was going to truly help him so he could be out today, enjoying his life and moving in the right direction. That the direction in such a positive way that you want to do for Columbus, but you couldn't do that for him. So you deleted the video, you removed the comments, and you tried to reframe legitimate questions as attacks. And that is not leadership. That is avoidance. And for the uninformed people who are defending this, a therapist is always the responsible party. Always. Always. There's no way around it. Always. So just as an adult is responsible in an inappropriate dynamic with a minor, even if that minor is like, oh, I love Billy, and I wanted to be in a relationship with Billy. The law doesn't care what that child says. The responsibility lies with the adult, and that adult is going to jail if it has been unethical in any way with a child. That is the same principle here. This young man was vulnerable, recently released, clinically unstable, legally constrained, and absolutely considered a protected class in behavioral health. She held the power. She held the training. And she held the ethical duty and responsibility to uphold everything she knew to do right. And instead, she violated every boundary of her profession. So no, again, she does not get to be the victim in this situation. He is. And as a community, we have a legal and moral obligation to report abuse, any form of unethical conduct. Georgia law makes that clear. And that's exactly why the reporting process is here, for these exact same reasons. And what I need voters to understand is that if someone entrusted with care would cross these boundaries this severely in private practice, what would they do with political power? Leadership requires discipline. It requires justice. It requires judgment. It requires responsibility. And it requires preventing harm, not creating it. She knows more than anything, more than anyone, the seriousness of what she's done. She knows the standards that she has violated. All educated and smart with the PhD and the license, she knows. And choosing to run for mayor anyway, soliciting donations during economic strain, pretending the situation does not exist, pretending that this young man is not in prison and she didn't contribute to that, is irresponsible. It is irresponsible. And I will continue to speak about it. I will continue to share information about it until the investigation is concluded. The ultimate goal is that this does not happen again to another person, and that we protect the vulnerable, and that ethical standards are upheld, and that people who are coming to solicit our votes and our donations and our money and our time are held to a standard, and don't think that they could just play in our face in this type of way. You can't hurt the community that you're trying to say you want to serve. You can't do that. It's not okay. So I hope I've made this very clear, because apparently there is some people out there, again, common sense is not common. And, you know, for me, I don't think that you have to go to school to understand this, but apparently you do. And so I hope I made it very clear on what's going on here and how much it is very inappropriate, very irresponsible, and unethical. And anybody that behaves like this, that has disconnected themselves from the trouble they have caused and contributed to for this young man, and walks around and smiles and, hey, I want to be your mayor, I want to make your life better, and I want to serve Columbus, I'm concerned. Okay, y'all, that's all I have for this evening. You all have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to tune in on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. For our next candid conversation with George and Dr. Natalie Nicole. Have a wonderful evening. And this is what I'm going to ask. If you learn something new on this page, share it with somebody. This election season is so serious, and we need to be hot or cold. I'm paying attention. I have seen videos deleted. People are cleaning up their pages. I've seen interviews deleted. I've seen things being deleted and cleaned up so that there's no residue or, what's the word I want to use? Facts of what's been said. But listen, we record everything. We keep the receipts. So you can delete what you want to delete and you can try to hide and clean up. But we are paying attention. And we need to be hot or cold, not lukewarm. And we don't need to support people who are not good for our community. And if you are not able to separate being cordial and respectful and kind with also holding people accountable, well, we need to fine-tune those skills, because we do not owe loyalty or obligation to anyone who is hurting our community, who has made decisions to hurt our community. And that's the sad thing about our community. We'll be lukewarm because, I might need them to sponsor something later, or I might need them to support something later. So I won't totally, burn the bridge. But that's shady. And I'm just letting y'all know we paying attention. Have a good night.